So I did turn that one down because, and the reason I turned it down was not only because I was already too intoxicated and I knew that I couldn't have another one or I'd probably be throwing up. The other thing is that I didn't see where it had come from. And after I had a bad experience with this one woman where I believe my drink was, I guess that might have been later. I'm trying to remember when that was. Well, usually I did guard my drinks. And I guess because I was with men, with women, I wouldn't have been as nervous for whatever reason. But since I was with a couple of men, even though they were FBI, I didn't see where the drink came from. Like, I didn't see the guy pouring it or anything. So I didn't have it. And then it says in paragraph 15, Garrett stated it was Sergeant Buhanda and Sergeant, or I keep saying Sergeant, S.A. I'm going to skip the whole S.A. part and just say Buhanda and Garza because that's easier for me. That it was Buhanda and Garza that walked her up the stairs. She also stated she expected they would both leave and did not expect Buhanda or Garza would kiss her goodnight. She also stated that she was upset Buhanda walked down the stairs when she was by her door with Garza. So in that statement right there, they're making me sound like I have a problem with rejection again. They're making it sound as if I didn't think that they would walk me up the stairs. Oh, wow. Why, I am so, can't believe it. Have FBI agents taking me out. I wonder if he likes me. I mean, it just makes me sound like some sort of, this whole report makes me sound like a juvenile idiot that is borderline, has a borderline personality disorder and cannot take rejection from any man, is confused, is a little unstable or imbalanced to not know what sexual harassment is and to exaggerate and think that just because someone expresses any kind of interest at all, that is sexual harassment. They basically just twisted everything to make me sound like a crackpot. And that's not what happened. What happened was that, first of all, when they gave me a ride back to my house, I mean, I had to ask them, can you take me home safely? And they said yes. And then once they parked at my place, I already had my hand on the door, and I was out. I was already, I said, thank you so much, and I already was getting out of the car. And they looked at each other and they started to get out of the car. And I said, no, that's fine. They said, let us walk you to your door. And I said, no, I said, I don't need you to do that. And they said, and I'm like, no, I'm fine. I said probably 3 or 4 times that, no, do not walk me to my door. I am fine. I had no intention of inviting them over. I did not invite them into my house. I didn't want them in my house, and I didn't even want them to walk me to my door. And when they kept saying, let us walk you to your door, and since they were FBI, I thought, well, they're making such a big deal about it, okay, they can walk me to their door if they feel they're doing their duty. So then they walked me to the door, and if I was kissed on the cheek, I don't remember that part, but I probably, of course, did not expect that because I was just getting, going back to my house. And I wasn't... And then it says I stated I was upset when he walked down the stairs when I was by the door with the other guy. As if I was upset that, he's leaving and he's leaving me with this other man again. Like I'm having a rejection complex problem. And the reason why I was upset he was leaving is that they both didn't leave. Garza was standing there with his hand over my hand, turning the key in the lock. I was repeatedly saying no. I told them to get off the porch. I told them to leave the surroundings. And I was completely drunk. They knew that I was incapacitated. And Garza did start to walk when I finally repeatedly said, I want you to leave. He started to go down the stairs, but he wasn't asking Garza to go with him. And Garza was still there. And in the minute that finally, in my drunk state, he kept saying, please, please, Garza did. I finally said, okay, fine, you can use the bathroom, but that's it. And then that, you have to make it quick. Then Boo Honda came bounding back up the stairs. Both of them knew that I was too drunk to be able to consent to have them over to my apartment, and I had already repeatedly said I do not want you in my apartment. So if at any time I did say you can use the bathroom, it was after being harassed over that. And they basically, they broke into my house because they knew that I couldn't give consent to that. In paragraph 16, when asked about the statement, let's see. Let's see. Well, it says something about, in paragraph 16, when asked about the statement so-and-so made, asking, aren't you interested in the FBI? Garrett replied, what was said after I asked them what was going on was, do you want us to leave? I replied, no. I want to know what's going on. In addition, and that part right there, they said, they fondled me. They put their hands all over my body, and they kissed me, both of them at the same time, as I've already described. And then when I stood up and I said, what's going on? And then the second time, it was not the first time that they said, do you want us to leave? But the second time that they basically sexually assaulted me again. When I sat down, after I sat down, and then they did the same thing after I'd already indicated I didn't want that contact. They both did it again. And then I stood up, and then they said, do you want us to leave? And then at that point, I said, I want to know what's going on. I said no. I said, I want to know what's going on. It wasn't a question mark statement. It was that after they had done that to me a couple times, and after all this talk about FBI, working for the FBI, and then getting into my house and everything, and then being drunk, I wasn't exactly in a good state of mind to know how to escort them out the door at that point, or what to say, or what their correct response would have been. But I did want to know what was going on, and I thought maybe I could get it out of them, which was a really not a very reasonable thing to think, but that's what I thought at the time. And I did not encourage anything from them, though that's not what that was about. They had to have known that. In addition, Garrett stated that the incident of, I believe it was Boo Honda, putting his finger in her mouth and her finger in his mouth happened after she handled another, or so-and-so's weapon, the gun, or whatever, guns that they took out. And without looking at my report, I actually don't remember which one agent put his finger in my mouth and my finger in his mouth. But again, I was drunk, and they were moving, not just turning the key in the lock and breaking into my house and touching me all over. They're picking up my hand and putting my finger in their mouths and basically trying to seduce me while I'm a total wreck. Paragraph 17 remains unchanged. Paragraph 18 remains unchanged. Paragraph 19 remains unchanged. I think it's very possible that they already knew about other situations where I've been date raped, and that since they knew the Portland PD investigation had been dropped on that, and that I was defamed by the Willamette Week, that they could continue to do the same thing to me and put me into some sort of a federal, basically gangbang circle that they had going. Paragraph 20 remains unchanged. In paragraph 21, Garrett stated they all laid on the couch and not the floor. That's not exactly true. It wasn't like we didn't all lay on the couch and not the floor. We sat. Like I had this couch, and I sat in the middle. Armando sat on the left side, and Bujando sat on the other side. And nobody, towards the end of the night, Garza was trying to look like he was asleep, and he sort of slouched, leaned back a little bit. This is, after they tried a bunch of stuff and weren't successful with me. But he sort of leaned back on the couch to one side. But we were not all laying on the couch and not on the floor. So I would, don't know why someone wanted to word it that way. Paragraph 22, Garrett stated she also asked one of the agents if she could touch his hair, and she was the only one that fell asleep after she and a different agent said goodnight to each other. And if I said I asked if I could touch someone's hair, it was maybe because they had it slicked back with so much gel or pomade or whatever that stuff is that Hispanics sometimes use. Or not Hispanics, but Latinos, or all kinds of people use. I've used it myself a few times. But, so that would probably be, I wouldn't have any other reason to ask or to do something like that. That was kind of weird. And then I was the only one who fell asleep. But that was after they both left my house. I didn't fall asleep in my house and then they left. I fell asleep after they left. So they're making it sound like I was the only one that fell asleep, and then these two guys were in my house and then maybe they left or whatever. That's not true. I was in the other room with Bujanda. I was getting very tired, and then I said I need to sleep, and then Garza came around the corner, and as I've said before, he was wearing a different shirt than when he went into my house with, which I seriously have no idea how that happened. I mean, actually, that is one of the weirdest things about the entire situation. And I thought about it. It registered at the time. It registered that night. I thought about it. And it also registered the next day. And that was part of the reason I kept thinking something really weird just happened. And because why would somebody change their shirt? And it was summer. I don't really remember one of them coming in with a coat or hiding something under their coat or anything. It's not impossible, but maybe in their... I'm not sure where this shirt came from. Because he came in a shirt sleeve shirt, and he was leaving in a solid white long sleeve shirt that was being rolled up kind of at the sleeves or whatever. And I believe it was rolled up. Anyway, it was a white long sleeve shirt. Just solid white, plain Oxford style. And I saw Garza nodding and looking over at Bujanda, and then Bujanda looking at him like they looked at each other like, yeah, are you ready to go? Like, they did not seem drunk at all.